Well, hello and welcome to Ghent. Founded sometime in between ancient Romans and the 7th century, Ghent has always been known as the center of commerce and the place of numerous abbeys located, but what attracts most attention here is castles. The Graffiti castle behind me was built by the order of the Count Philip of Alsace in 1180s and was modelled after the castles of Crusaders he saw during the Second Crusade. Till the 14th century, this castle served as the seat of power for the Counts of Flanders, but later it was abandoned and was nearly demolished. Fortunately for all of us, in 1885 it was bought by the city's administration, remodeled, refurnished, and now it holds lots of exhibitions and is actually quite popular with the filmmakers. If you've ever watched the BBC series White Queen, some parts of the film were filmed and directed right here, as well as the film Emperor with Adrian Brody starring. As many other cities, Ghent faced its ups and downs. Plundered by Vikings in 9th century, it faced major growth in 11th century due to the increase in wool production, and in 13th century already Ghent was considered the biggest city north of the Alps, right after Paris.
The classical Gothic building behind me is called Gerard de Duvelstein. I apologize in advance if I pronounced it incorrectly because my Dutch is pretty non-existent, literally. The building was founded in 13th century and named after the second son of the 15th Viscount of Ghent, Gerard Willen, whose dark complexion and hair gave him the nickname of Gerard the Devil. Later, when the building became a city property in 14th century, its history was very chaotic and very entertaining in my opinion, because it was used as an assembly for the knights, a monastery, a school, a fire tower, a prison, an asylum. So you see a multi-diverse and multi-optional place actually for usage. Even local archives were stored here once upon a time. As far as I know, in 2010 the building was up for sale because the local administration practically didn't know what to do with it and how to use it properly. All this whole space.
Do not fret, however, as far as I know, nowadays this place is used as a kind of museum. There are exhibitions held there, so everything is quite alright. Back to the history of the city, I'd like to tell you that, continuing this story with ups and downs, the city suffered greatly during numerous European wars, such as the 80 Years' War, for instance. The development was hindered. In 17th century, the city was utterly devastated.
That's the local cathedral, St. Bavo's Cathedral. You see, it's so big, I can't even fit it in my screen. But it's very, very beautiful. It's built in 11th century in Romanesque style with lots of Gothic inclusions and additions. Definitely worth visiting, going inside and listening to the bell rings a little bit.
Yes, of course, Ghent suffered due to the wars, but sometimes it was all a result of its own very rebellious streak, just like in case of the revolt of Ghent in 1539, a story deeply connected to Emperor Charles and the local tower.
The traditional for the Belgian city's Belfry Tower of Ghent is actually the highest one amongst all of them and is included in the UNESCO list of World Heritage Site. You know how they love that stuff. It was built in 14th century and it has a very interesting story connected to its bell, which used to be called Roland the Bell. Roland the Bell was the most important bell in the whole city because it was ringing hourly. It was ringing for fires, for outer attacks, for festivities, for everything, you know, which is why it was actually given a name. And Roland the Bells suffered greatly due to the locals' rebellion in 1539. Charles V, the Holy Roman Empire's ruler, crushed the rebellion, and in a sign of vengeance he ordered for the bell to be taken off from the tower.
In punishment for the rebellion, the city's nobles had to walk in front of the emperor barefoot with a noose around the neck, and since then the people of Ghent have been called noose bearers, stop-and-draggers.
St. Nicholas Church behind me was built in 13th century instead of the old Romanesque one. It is constructed in the so-called shelved Gothic style, which is authentic to Belgium and is named after the local river because of the blue-grey stones produced in the Tournai region. There are interesting facts about the chapel. Actually, since this city used to be a wool production center, there were lots of guilds, of course. It was a merchant city, a commercial one. And during the 14th, 15th century, many of them donated to the construction of their own personalized chapels. What the church is also well known for all around Europe is for its organ. It is considered one of the best in the whole country.
In 18th, 19th century, Ghent went through another major growth spurt due to the rise of textile industry in the city. The first Belgian trade union was actually founded right here in this place, and that accounted to the fact perhaps that the labor movement here in this particular region is as strong as it has ever been, and there are loads of remnants of the power they used to wield.
If you want to see for yourselves the real power of social democratic movement here in Belgium and the influence it had on Ghent particularly, please come to Vooruit Cooperative, which is a great cultural centre, a centre of local labour movement, and just a beautiful building in so rare nowadays in European cities, Art Deco, Art Nouveau styles. Really worth visiting.
Some of you might say that Ghent is a museum-like city with lots of medieval architecture and sculptures and exhibitions and buildings. Yes, of course, there is this fact that the city centre is well maintained and preserved. But if you think that there is nothing modern about Ghent, well, then go to the very Garden Street. I think you might like what you might see there, like really like.
Local graffiti alley, specifically and particularly for those who are fond of graffiti writing and general artistic house. Awesome!
Not only is it popular with both locals and tourists, but it is also quite Instagrammable. So if you are looking for bright, vivid, colorful and unconventional photos, that's your place most definitely. My video review about Ghent has almost reached its logical end, and I want to tell you thank you very much guys for joining me in on this journey around the city. I loved it personally because Ghent is a city of contrasts. On the one hand, it's all medieval and historical with churches and abbeys and guilds and buildings and even castles, as you might have noticed. On the other hand, it's this adolescent place full of rebelliousness and graffiti, and it's all I don't give a damn about what you might think, and so pro-labor movement and social-democratic, which is fun because I haven't seen anything like that in Belgium yet. Perhaps they're gonna be more. But to find out whether Ghent is so unique for this country, or if it is like many of places here in Belgium, you should stay tuned. So join Weekend Girl in on other travels. Hope to see you very soon. Bye bye guys, see you around.